ones in my bar license goes.
Yes, you were the fifth one. But yeah.
Efficient. I'm just trying to hope. Well, you got the white shirt on. That's pretty perfect. I mean, really.
Okay.
Just trying to make sure the air conditioning doesn't blow away all the stuff here.
I guess I am. I'm ready.
Jen, can I ask you a question? Ward 3 and Ward 5? That's two of them.
No. Oh, this you're. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Mine. Okay, no. It's just Ward 3.
Okay, thank you.
No, we did this
at
from
first-
23. I'm
we
sorry.
just took, okay, no, that's right.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I looked at it because sometimes I would just glance down.
so sorry.
Oh, no,
Yeah, I
sweetie,
took it off of
that's-
mine, but not yours.
No, that's okay.
right, well, good evening, everyone. At this time, I'll call our meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone. Today is Monday, August the 12th. This is a regular meeting of the Texarkana, Texas City Council, Monday, August the 12th, 2024. I would like to welcome all of you who are joining us in the audience this evening, as well as those who are joining us online. We certainly appreciate your attendance this evening. At this time, I'll call on our City Secretary, Ms. Jennifer Evans, to provide a roll call. Ms. Evans?
Mr. Metter? Here. Ms. Page? Here. Ms. Hart? Here. Mr. Davis?
Here.
Ms. Matlock?
Here.
All right, very good. And at this time, I will lead in the invocation and pledge. If everyone will please stand. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the time of the year when children go back to school and classes are back in session, both in the elementary and junior high and high school and higher education institutions. We ask that you be with the instructors, those who are teaching our young citizens in the community, that they will learn lots of things and be able to carry on the tradition throughout our society when they enter the workforce. We ask that you be with this council this evening as we conduct the business on behalf of our citizens, that you will provide us with strength and guidance in order to do that will be pleasing to you. We also ask that you forgive us from our sins. We ask these things in your Son's precious name. Amen. If you'll please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. At this time, we're going to have the swearing-in ceremony for our newest representative representing Ward 3, Mr. Steve Thompson. As you all know, former Councilmember Betty Williams passed away in May of this year, and that has left a vacancy on our council. And so there was a time period put forth for citizens within Ward 3 who were interested in serving in this capacity, and Mr. Thompson came forward to express his interest in serving the remaining term for council member that we formerly had, Councilmember Williams, to serve that term. And so at this time, I'm going to call on our municipal judge, Judge Sherry Hawkins, to do the swearing-in ceremony. And then after that's done, Steve, I'll ask that you'll provide any remarks that you would like to provide. And then we'll change out the place card here. And then I have a certificate and a pen to present to you. And we welcome you to the council. Judge?
Thank you. Raise your right hand, please, and be sworn. I state your name.
I, Stephen Thompson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of Ward 3,
the duties of the office of Ward 3,
council member
council member
of the city of Texarkana, Texas,
of the city of Texarkana, Texas,
and of the state of Texas,
and of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Would you step around and sign an oath for me, please, sir? The wind is about to blow it away. If you could sign right here.
Didn't expect it. Thank you.
If you'll stay very much.
Thank you, Judge Hawkins.
Okay. Steve, any comments you'd like to make?
Need a breath. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor. I look forward to filling the shoes of Betty Williams. I know that I've got a lot of work to do to be able to fill her shoes, and I really do hope that I honor her legacy. Also, going forward, I hope that I can represent the 3rd Ward, the city, the state, and the United States. I didn't expect that, all that, but I do. And I fully expect to make the best of it for the city. Thank you.
All right, well, we certainly welcome you aboard, and I'll have a few remarks in just a few minutes, but at this time I'll ask the Judge to please come forward, and we'll do the changing out, and I'll also step down and present you with a certificate and a pen. Judge, if you please come forward. It is my pleasure at this time to present Councilmember Steve Thompson with a certificate, and it reads as follows. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, this is to certify that a general election held on July 30th, 2024, Steve Thompson was duly elected council member of Ward 3. In testimony whereof I have hereunto signed my name and caused the seal of the Texarkana, Texas, to be affixed at the city of Texarkana this 12th day of August 2024, and I have signed the certificate. So, Steve, I'll present this to you. And then I also would like to present to you with one of our city lapel pins, which represents the seal of our city. This is a pin that is worn by the council members, by the mayor, by city staff. It's also presented throughout the year to citizens in our community for distinguished service. And so at this time, I'd like to pin the lapel pin on your lapel and wish you much success and welcome aboard. And then I believe Lisa may want to come forward and have a picture taken. So feel free to do that as well. Congratulations. You can come take your seat. All right. Steve, once again, welcome aboard, and we wish you much success in representing Ward 3. When that button is pushed down, it means it's engaged, and so the mic is active. If it's not pushed down, it's not active, okay? So the top button. Yeah. So.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, very good. All right. In reference to Mayor's remarks and items of community interest, just want to remind everyone our next council meeting will be held on Monday, August the 26th. And then during the month of September, our council meetings will be held on Monday, September the 9th, as well as Monday, September the 23rd at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. At this time, we'll open it up for our open forum, comments from the public. If there's anyone in the audience this evening who would like to address the council, you're welcome to do so. You will have up to 5 minutes to speak on any topic. If you are here this evening and you're wanting to speak on behalf of one of our public hearing items, I'll ask that you please wait until we get to that public hearing item. We'll be more than happy to listen to your comments at that time. We also ask that you please complete one of these yellow sheets that can be found at the back of the room near the doors. And at this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Corey Robinson, who would like to address the City Council in reference to tree limbs hanging over the street. And so, Mr. Robinson, we want to welcome you to our council meeting this evening. And you will have up to 5 minutes. If you don't mind, if you will, please state your name for the record. And we look forward to listening to your comments, sir.
Good evening. My name is Corey Robinson. I'm representing Sunset Church of God in Christ, 1603 Lee Street, and I shouldn't be no more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'm just want to try to get addressed. We're on Lee Street, and on Bertha and Sulphur, there's a lot of limbs hanging over the street, and I'm just trying to get someone to come cut those back. I mean, they're hanging on both sides. And also, there's a hole in the road on Sulphur. This is the second time that it has happened. Now, I don't know if it happened from the storm or the flood that continues to happen. That's a low-lying area. And also, at some point, I was going to ask, could anything be done on North Street on that backside? There's a drainage blockage. Whenever we get heavy rains, that whole strip right there floods out and people cannot pass through. And I feel like because there's an underpass, but it's just blocked up and the water can't pass through. So that's my issue tonight, and want to bring to the council, see if we can get someone out to clean that area up.
Okay, so staff, they are taking notes right now. So if you don't mind, please repeat once again the location where the trees are, and then I think you said a pothole. If you'll kind of describe once again where those locations are.
Okay. The trees hanging both on Sulphur and Bertha.
Okay.
And the hole in the road is on Sulphur, closer towards North Street. And so those are the two areas of interest that we're concerned about.
Okay, all right. Mr. Robinson, we will certainly check into that matter for you. And anything else you'd like to share this evening?
No, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for your time, sir. Have a good evening.
All right, you too.
I do have another citizen who would like to address the council this evening, Mr. Laney Harris, who resides on Stephanie Street in Texarkana, Arkansas. And Mr. Harris, welcome to our council meeting. Mr. Harris, just for the record, is also director with the board of directors for the city of Texarkana, Arkansas. So, Director Harris, we thank you for your attendance this evening, and the floor is yours, sir. If you please, will state your name for the record.
Laney Harris, and thank you for your comments. And what I'm here for, I'm really not here for myself per se. I'm here for all the other hundreds of people that scared or won't come or feel that they feel intimidated by coming to y'all forum. That this past Friday, I had got a ticket. I had got stopped by y'all police officer at the corner of 38 and state line. And the reason why he said he stopped me because I didn't get my signal within 30, I guess, 1,000 feet or something like that from the intersection prior for me turning. But my question is that even when he stopped me, then I pulled over there in the street, then pulled over there to the side. Then he stated that I told him, hey, I see y'all officer all the time. Making a left turn or a right turn, not giving signal, and sometimes I see him even not even stopping at a stop sign. But that's really also. But he ended up making that as a warning. And I guess maybe I don't know if I told him all that or what. But he also asked for my driving license, which I didn't give to him. You got to understand this is 9:30 at night. So, and I just made a habit. Don't do no whole lots of looking and searching, even though I had my driving license with me, and they had dropped down there on the floor, and I didn't want to do no whole lot of searching. And so then he started asking me for some questions like, place of employment, my phone number, and my social security number. I was just trying to figure out what relevance do they have with you driving a vehicle, your place of employment, your phone number, and your social security number. I really didn't feel that had any per se with the action that was taken or by me or by the office or by the officer. Then later on, it's had on here that you got the call by the 9th, the 6th to set up a court date. And my other concern is why don't y'all just automatically give a court date when you get a ticket, because I did call around about 3:30 today, and then they said you got to come down here and maybe sign some paper to get a court date. So my concern with that is, if you already been stopped, and then if you don't do that, you may get a failure to appear because you didn't get a court date when he signed you, gave you the ticket at hand. So then that's basically what my concern is. It's basically all the personal information that the officer was asking regarding with the traffic stop, and then what you got to do to get a court date, because to me, like I said, he should have made the court date right there and then on the ticket, and right there on the ticket. And then what's so kidding about it, when I didn't show him a driving license, but if you look at my driving license when he got it, it showed the driving license number on them. It showed the VIN number of the vehicle. It showed when the tags expired, and based on the database of that. So I'm kind of curious as to what was the ticket for not showing the driving license on demand, because all that information is really on the ticket. You know, no, he did ask for my date of birth, but like I said, the driving license, I didn't give him a driving license number. It came back when he gave me the ticket on there. So, and that's basically my concern is that, and I know how nowadays that, you know, I tell people at night, just be leery when you get stopped by it. Don't do a whole lot of moving. Don't do a whole lot of searching. You know, just stand there and just get your ticket and live another day. And thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. Any other citizen in the audience like to address the council this evening? Okay. At this time, we'll move along to our appointments to boards and commissions and committees. Do we have any appointments to be made or reappointments this evening to boards, commissions, and committees by the council?
Mayor, I do have one.
Mr. Davis?
This is going to be for the Keep Texarkana Beautiful, and this is going to be a a new one for Chloe Young.
Okay. Chloe Young for Keep Texarkana Beautiful. Okay. Mr. Metter?
I have some reappointments as well. This is for the TERS Advisory Board. I have 4: Kelly Mitchell, Jason Thompson, Josh Andrus, and Mike Malone.
Okay. So those are 4 reappointments to the TERS district.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Metter. Any others to be made by the council this evening?
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
We also need to consider the Bi-State IAC Committee appointment to fill.
Yes. I did have a conversation. Councilmember Williams served on the IAC with me as well. We're the 2 representatives for Texarkana, Texas, and Councilmember Thompson has expressed an interest to serve on that committee as well, if that's okay, wishes of the council to fill that spot that was vacated by Ms. Williams. So that would be, Mr. Thompson would fill that particular role, and that particular board doesn't meet very often, either bi-monthly or quarterly. So if that's okay with the council, we'll also enter that into our nominations this evening as well. Okay. Are there any others? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Councilmember Matlock. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Davis. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. At this time, we'll move along to items for consideration. We do have several items this evening, actually 3 items on the consent agenda. Item 1 is to consider approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the City Council held on July 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Item 2, resolution number 2024-088, authorizing the city manager to purchase necessary computers and computer accessories from Dell Incorporated of Round Rock, Texas, through the Texas Department of Information Resources, Text Director, contract TXDIR-TSO 3763 in an amount not to exceed $74,929.32, with funds budgeted in the Technology Fund, Fund number 115. Item number 3 is order number 2024-090, correcting section 1 of resolution number 2024-075 to reflect Liberty Ilo Independent School District as the contracting party to the approved interlocal agreement for fire protection and emergency management services. Unless a council member would like to pull one or more items on the consent agenda for further evaluation, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as it has been notioned. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Page, a second by Councilmember Hart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. At this time, move along to our action items. We do have 3 action items on the agenda this evening. Item number 4 is resolution number 2024-027, approving a solar carport airport lease between the Texarkana Regional Airport as lessee and the City of Texarkana, Arkansas as lessor or / owner. Council will take consideration on this particular item this evening. We do have our Director of the Texarkana Regional Airport, Mr. Paul Merlick, here to provide some additional information pertaining to this resolution. Mr. Merlick, good evening. We're glad to have you with us this evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm not sure how many of you had gotten a chance to see. I did come and speak with the Arkansas side last week. The solar panels that have been put in on the parking lot, we'd intended to fund with a loan from the Arkansas Energy Office. It's a 0.4% loan that would be paid back over 15 years. About a week before the terminal's opening, we received a letter from the department that indicated that the airport as an entity was not eligible to seek this loan. Only through this process, as we began kind of trying to figure out other funding sources, did I realize that I'd erred. I really should have brought this loan to both cities for approval prior to going for it. We've been working with both of the city managers to try to find some way we could work with this. The state indicated that if the solar panels and all of our meters were owned by the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, they would be an eligible entity and could go for this exact same loan, and then we would be a lessee, so that way we would make payments on that. They have indicated that this is a path that they'd be willing to take forward. We've been working initially as language that it would be an MOU that has moved to being a lease, and that is what is before you today.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Paul. Any questions by the council relating this particular item? Okay. Thank you, Paul. All right. Appreciate your time. All right. So, if there are any further questions, is there a motion for approval of the resolution?
So move.
We have a motion by Councilmember Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Metter. This item pertains to a resolution, so there is not a caption. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolution passes unanimously. So, Paul, thank you for being here again this evening. We also have in the audience Dr. Robin Hickerson, who serves on our local airport authority board and was recently announced as the new president of the Texarkana Chamber of Commerce. And so, Robin, congratulations on your new adventure that you're about to take in a few weeks. And so we look forward to your service in that endeavor and appreciate everything else you do or have done in the community as well. It's greatly appreciated. Okay. All right. At this time, move along to item number 5, resolution number 2024-084, authorizing the city manager to accept a donation of approximately 7 acres of land in the Falvey Industrial Park from the Texarkana, USA Chamber of Commerce for economic development purposes. And we had a briefing on this item. Council, if you recall, we had a briefing on this item at our last council meeting in reference to this land coming from the chamber to the city for economic development purposes. We do have staff on hand and Mr. Lewis, our city attorney, to answer any questions that the council may have. So does anyone on the council have a question relating to this matter? If not, then I will entertain a motion for approval of the resolution. Is there a motion for approval? We have a motion by Councilmember Hart. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Page. Once again, this also pertains to a resolution. There's not a caption. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolution passes. Item number 6 is resolution number 2024-094, acknowledging submission of the Texas Tax Code calculations of the city's no new revenue tax rate of 0.619350 per $100 of assessed valuation, and the voter approval tax rate of 0.650392 per $100 of assessed valuation, proposing a tax rate of 0.650000 per $100 of assessed valuation for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025, and authorizing public notice of the proposed tax rate. Note, this resolution, if passed by the City Council, does not adopt a tax rate, but rather proposes for publication the same tax rate adopted last year. A public hearing and council record vote to adopt a proposed tax rate will be held on September the 9th, 2024. And so it's a lot of verbiage, and we're required to use specific language when we address our tax rate. So the bottom line is we're proposing that the tax rate does not change, that it will remain current for the tax rate that we currently have in place. And Kristen Peoples, our CFO, will also brief us on this item and provide any additional information. Kristen?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you said, this is just the agenda item that will allow us to give notice to the public of the proposed tax rate. The rate that we are proposing is 65 cents, which is the same rate that's currently in place. The no new revenue rate is basically the rate that it would take to generate the same amount of property tax revenue that we have in the current fiscal year that we're operating in, based on the property valuations on the certified roll in July. And then the voter approval rate is the no new revenue maintenance and operation rate with a 3.5% increase. And then added to that is the debt rate needed to pay for debt service. And so there's several rates in the component of all of that, but what I want to communicate to you tonight is that the proposed rate is 65 cents as it is today. And if you approve this agenda item, then we will publish that in the Texarkana Gazette and also on our website to give notice to the public. And we will have a public hearing on September 9th for anyone that would like to come speak.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Kristen. So we will have a public hearing on September the 9th. Any questions or comments by the council? Just once again, I want to thank the staff and our Budget Advisory Committee members putting forth a budget for the next fiscal year that does not change the tax rate. It keeps it at our current level, so your hard work is greatly appreciated by the council in reference to this matter. Council, I will share with you that this item, once again, pertains to a resolution. However, on this particular item, we will need to have a roll call vote pertaining to this matter. So at this time, I'll ask for, is there a motion for approval of the resolution?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hart. Ms. Evans, roll call, please.
Mr. Metter?
Yes.
Ms. Page?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Hawk?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
The resolution passes by unanimous vote. So thank you, council. Appreciate that. At this time, we move along to our first briefings. We do have several first briefings this evening. Item 1 is resolution number 2024-077, updating the citizens petition policy, focusing on petition requirements to address matters currently before the City Council for consideration at an upcoming meeting. Our city attorney, Mr. Jeff Lewis, will be briefing the council on this particular item. Good evening, Mr. Lewis.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. In 2016, the council adopted a policy that provided a process for citizens to bring their requests or concerns to petition government, since we did not have any other process that otherwise was allowed by law or policy to allow for that. So over the years, the city council has updated the public forum, open agenda. Other forms of communication have been implemented, and it seemed prudent to narrow this particular citizens policy for purposes of matters that were already in front of the council for future consideration. So we're proposing a word change to the policy. The particular requirement that would be changed in addition to some other grammatical issues, would be that the petition would be requesting a particular action on a matter currently before the city council for consideration at an upcoming meeting.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Lewis on this item? And just as a note, council, we will take action on this item in our next council meeting on August the 26th. That also holds true for the next two items as well. Item number 2 is, thank you, Mr. Lewis. Item number 2 is resolution number 2024-089, adopting revisions to the employee policy manual for an effective date of October 1, 2024. And Mr. J.W. Bramlett will be briefing the council on this item. Good evening, Mr. Bramlett.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Appreciate your time this evening. Over the last year, city staff has been reviewing the entirety of the city's policy manual, a lot of times referred to as the employee handbook. And so tonight I wanted to brief you all on the steps that have been taken in that process to get us to today, and focus on some of the key changes that are being recommended in the policy manual. So, so far steps taken is we have, again, spent the last year going literally page by page through our own policy manual, looking at other cities, mainly in the North Texas to Northeast Texas region, seeing what their policies are like on different matters. We have reviewed the entirety of this document that you have in front of you with our city attorney. We've also reviewed it with both the city manager and all of the department directors to receive their feedback. And then lastly, it has gone in front of an employee committee that was composed of many members from every department throughout the city that we call our culture champions. So on the next few pages here, I want to point out some of the key changes that are being recommended. And at any point in this, if you have any questions, just feel free to stop me and I'll be glad to answer those. First thing that we wanted to add to the policy manual is a code of ethics. So as a code of ethics being implemented, we want that to be to where it guides our behavior, promotes the city's values, and then also promotes a cultural and organizational identity. That way we can all have that to look to help guide all of us in making all of our decisions. And our code of ethics will include the city's core values as well, which consists of teamwork, integrity, accountability, innovation, leadership, professionalism, communication, and character. Next change that is being proposed is from a legal standpoint, which is the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. This was a new law that went into effect in 2023, and it essentially protects a lot of the same things that the Americans with Disabilities Act protected, but the ADA didn't spell out as specifically matters that dealt with pregnant workers. And so the federal government has created this new act that really focuses more on pregnant workers instead of lumping it in to the ADA. So it's just from a legal standpoint adding that to our policy with regards to the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. On the next page, we have a change to our vacation leave policy. So this is more of a banded approach, where as you can see, it's based on your years of service. So for the first 9 years of your service, you would have the 3 weeks of paid vacation that we currently have for all city employees. And then for those city employees that reach the 10 to 14 year mark, they would receive 3 weeks and 2 days annually. And then from 15 to 19 years, 3 weeks and 4 days annually. And for 20 plus years, or 20 years plus, you would receive 4 weeks of vacation leave annually. And that's accrued every pay period. And you can see the amounts there per pay period, what's accrued. And so those, the 3 weeks, 4 weeks, that's all by the end of a year's time, what you would have accrued throughout the year during your employment. Also, the vacation leave carryover will be increased from 200 hours to 240 hours. And this just better aligns with the amount of leave that is paid out upon somebody retiring with the city. Currently, that's at 240 hours, which is a part of civil service. And so we match all employees' leave payout per the civil service guidelines. And then the reset date for vacation accruals will change from September 30th to December 31st. So they'll be on a calendar year basis instead of fiscal year basis. On the next slide, we have sick leave. We want to, mental health leave has become more and more to the forefront of every organization, and so we want to encourage the use of sick leave for mental health leave. This is something that just hasn't been specifically spelled out in the past, and so we want to make sure that if anybody has, a question as to whether sick leave can be used for mental health leave, that we definitely encourage that use of it. Also, the ability to use sick leave for the care of a newborn after birth or adoption. Again, our policy didn't specifically state that sick leave could be used for that, unless the newborn was ill. If it was a relatively healthy birth, then there was questions as to, well, can sick leave be used for that if nobody's technically sick? So wanted to make sure that was spelled out. Also, the ability to use sick leave due to the lack of child care as a result of the closure of the employee's child care facility. This really came about in the time of COVID, when child care facilities were regularly closing and employees didn't have an option on where to leave their child. And so do you force that employee to use vacation leave as opposed to sick leave? And so we felt that it was best to allow them to use sick leave, because oftentimes some of those child care facilities may be closed because of illnesses. And yes, it may not be your illness or your child's illness, but that's the reason why that child care facility may be unavailable. Or even if it's just a babysitter that calls you at the last minute and says, hey, I can't watch your child today because I'm sick, that allows the employee to use sick leave rather than vacation leave for that absence. And then lastly, providing policy language on how to handle situations where an employee has exhausted all their leave, including both vacation and sick leave, but the employee continues to be absent from work. This is, again, just another situation that would come up from time to time where somebody's exhausted all their leave. The question comes up, what type of disciplinary action needs to be taken? And we didn't really spell that out, so it kind of varied on how it was handled. And just to have a consistent way of handling those situations, we wanted to make sure that was spelled out in the policy. Next, we have our mental health leave. So the state of Texas required mental health leave for peace officers in 2021 and for telecommunicators in 2023. And so the city plans to provide for mental health leave for all city employees that will follow those same guidelines that are outlined for peace officers and telecommunicators. And when this leave is granted, it's for city employees that experience a traumatic event in the scope of their work. And a traumatic event is defined in the statute where it's one that involves extreme injury, near death, or death of an individual at the event to which the city employee has direct involvement. So again, you can see how this makes a lot of sense for peace officers and telecommunicators because they are involved more frequently with those types of situations. But we also have had, unfortunately, employees pass away on the job site, and so we wanted to provide that same type of mental health leave for any employee that experienced that traumatic event. Next is the city's hazard communication policy, and this policy ensures compliance with the Texas Hazard Communication Act, which is Chapter 502 of the Texas Health and Safety Code, and it's actually required by public employers in Texas. Currently, that policy is not in our policy manual, and we want to make sure that that is included so we're abiding by all of the laws set out by the state. And then lastly is political activity. So we amended our current political activity policy because currently it states that a city employee is prohibited from holding an elected or appointed position with the city of Texarkana, Texas, Texarkana Independent School District, and or Bowie County. As you all know, it's difficult to get people interested in serving in a public position. And so we don't want to discourage those where there is no conflict of interest. And so to just provide a blanket statement that you can't serve on an elected position with TISD or LEISD or PGISD or the county, it's too difficult to say whether or not all of those are going to create a conflict of interest. So with help from our legal counsel, we crafted the new language that you see there. And essentially, if somebody wants to hold an elected position, they'll be instructed to visit with us in HR. We'll consult with our legal team to make sure whether or not that is going to pose a conflict of interest. And then we'll go from there to see if that's a possibility if somebody really does want to serve their community. And with that, that's just a brief overview of some of the key additions. Obviously, there's other language in the policy manual itself. So as you're reviewing the copy that you all have access to, anything that is in red throughout that text is new language. So, whether it's this evening or the next council meeting, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have about any of the proposed changes.
Thank you, JW. Any questions for JW on any of this information? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is resolution number 2024-091, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Johnson Controls Incorporated of Fort Worth, Texas, to install an advanced metering infrastructure system with leak detection monitoring system in combination with satellite-based leak detection in an amount not to exceed $18,169, 18 million. That's a bigger number, isn't it? Had my commas in the wrong place. $18,169,793 with the Texas portion not to exceed $10,231,625 with funds available to the 2023 bond construction. I need to go back to math class, I think. So anyway, we have Mr. Kenny Eisenhower with TWU this evening. There are also representatives from Johnson Controls here. Kenny, I'll let you introduce our guests this evening from Johnson Controls. If you get lost, I have their names written down too.
Right.
So,
I need to hold it up for me.
Right. So anyway, we'll look forward to listening to your comments, sir.
Well, good evening. To the mayor and the council, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. And I just want to say real fast that this is a project that the utility has been working on for quite some time. We've talked to a lot of people, a lot of cities, a lot of companies about it. We're very excited. We think it'll be very beneficial to the city, to the citizens, and to the utility once we get it in place. And I want to turn it over to Mr. Harry Romine and Craig Hanna with Johnson Controls.
Okay. All right. Good evening, gentlemen. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Kenny. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Harry Romine, Account Manager with Johnson Controls, and we really appreciate the opportunity to present to you tonight a summary of the AMI and water meter project. With me at the podium is Mr. Craig Hanna. Craig is our AMI and water meter engineer and guru. Me and Craig we've been at Johnson Controls for over 20 years, developing and implementing these AMI and water meter projects. But if you do have a pretty technical question, I'm definitely going to turn it over to Craig, and he'll be able to answer it. So thank you. So this is the agenda for tonight, and I know you have a lot of presentations tonight, so I was going to move through the slides pretty quickly, but please stop me anytime if you have a question, or we can address them as well, after I'm done. Just a little background on the project. So February last year, TWU did issue an RFQ for this project. Fortunately, in May, they selected Johnson Controls as the most qualified contractor. So towards the end of May, we did start what we call our investment grade audit. And so we've worked very hard with TWU and the city since then, completing that audit to put together, the most cost-effective solution. So that's kind of where we're at today. On the Texas side, you have about a little over 16,000 active, water accounts that we will be affecting. During the audit, we did test a lot of your smaller water meters to see what their existing accuracy was. And so this table shows you the average accuracy that came from those tests. Obviously some of them tested a little bit better, some of them not so good, but this was the average. I did want to point out that the new ultrasonic meters that we will be putting in this project, those are guaranteed to be 99.9% accurate for the next 20 years. So you will be able to maintain your water and sewer revenues, moving forward. They're not going to be losing their accuracy over time like the existing ones that you have in place. We also tested most of your large water meters, which is a pretty big chunk of water and sewer revenues for some of the bigger customers, so they're important. So that's the results of the average accuracy for those. Now I'll kind of jump to, our recommended scope of work. So this is a graphic of the Advanced Metering Infrastructure System, AMI, and I don't plan to go in and explain how everything on this works. I do want to point out that during the audit, we had several technology workshops with the TW staff. We presented 8 or 9 of the best AMI technologies available today, and we unanimously agreed that this Itron cellular AMI is the best price with the best features. So another thing that is very beneficial for the cities is that this is a cellular system, so it will be communicating over existing cell towers, which also reduce the cost of the project. But then you've got your cellular fees, but we did negotiate a 10-year cellular plan for the entire AMI system. So that's going to be very, beneficial for the city. These are just some photos of some of the hardware that we'll be installing. The top row are the ultrasonic water meters that we selected. Again, the same process. We had technology workshops with the TW staff, presented 7 or 8 different manufacturers, and these 2, Deal and Neptune, were the best price with the best warranty and the best features. And the lower photos are just some of the Itron AMI hardware. So as far as the scope of work goes, this is a summary of all the meters that we will be, replacing and upgrading. For most of them, you can see that we will be replacing the existing meter with a new ultrasonic meter and upgrading it with the Itron AMI. That's a total of over 14,000 accounts. You do have some existing meters that are pretty new and they're still accurate, so we didn't want to waste the money to pull those out of the ground now, so we are upgrading those to the AMI and getting a little more usage out of that investment you made in those meters. So that's a little over 2,000, so a total of a little over 16,000 accounts that we will be addressing, which is all your current active accounts. I did want to point out, you're getting excellent extended warranties on this equipment. From Deal, Neptune, and Itron, there's nothing out in the market right now that has a longer extended warranty. These are as good as that's out there, so that was another reason that we selected this equipment. But I did want to point out another benefit of this Itron AMI is that you don't have to, the TWU does not have to stick with these Deal and Neptune meters. Let's say 5 years down the road, when you got new customers and they got to put in new water meters, if there's a better water meter at the time, then they can buy that and it'll also connect to this Itron AMI. So that's a nice benefit. It'll connect to 8 or 9 different manufacturers. Some of the AMI vendors, they will only sell you their meter that communicates to their system. So then you're locked in. So that's another reason we went with the Itron AMI. As you're probably aware, most water leaks go undetected for long periods of time before they show up, which costs the city, a lot of money. So this project also includes actually 2 leak detection systems. The first one is this satellite radar survey of the entire TW distribution system that will pinpoint, potential leaks. Then you have to actually go with a ground crew and verify there's a leak there or not. So that's the first system. The second one is we will be installing many of these Itron leak sensors on the service lines. And these will be monitoring the system for, the next 20 years. And they're tied into your AMI, so they'll be providing, daily updates if they identify a potential water leak. And the real benefit to including these in the project now is the same installation team that's changing out that water meter while he's at that meter box will be putting this leak sensor in. So this is much more cost effective for the city versus 2 years down the road saying, okay, I'm gonna add these leak sensors in now, because the contractor will have to go back to each location and install. So this is a very good system. One of my projects that we completed about 5 years ago was with Las Cruces Utilities. They've got about 40,000 meters, and we installed this Itron leak sensor for them, and I mean, they've been ecstatic about it. It has caught a lot of leaks and has saved them a lot of money. So we know, and that was put in about 5 years ago, so we know this is a very good, working system. One of the other things that's included with this is a customer web portal, and this will be very beneficial for your customers, for the ones that want to sign up for it. This will give them automatic email alerts if they set it up that way, if they have a potential water leak or they were using too much water over the last couple of hours. They'll also be able to go look at graphs of their usage for the past week if they want to see it, what their pattern was over the past week. So this is a great thing for your customers. But the other thing is the TW staff, they're going to have access to this web portal as well. It's going to be called a user web portal, and it's going to have more features to it than what your customers are going to have. But the point is, let's say you have a customer that doesn't want to sign up for it. The TW staff is actually going to be monitoring everybody's through this AMI system, and if there's a potential leak, then they're going to automatically notify that customer, hey, you had a potential leak on this day and time. So it's a very powerful system that you'll be, I did want to point out too, for your customers right now, they can go to the website and pay their bill. It'll still be a single sign-on username, password that they will put in to get to this customer web portal and the existing billing system. So they won't have to have two usernames and passwords. This is just another screenshot of one of the graphs that they'll have in this system. This is just showing a sample of a week's worth of usage where you've got the peaks and the valleys. So it will be very beneficial for your customers. One of the other benefits that you're going to get from our Johnson Controls team is we're going to assist the utility in the city with customizing their customer outreach plan. So like on the left, that's a door hanger that you may want to use, that we use a lot, that'll be put on the customer's door several days before we change out their meter and letting them know about the program. But basically, after we kick off the project, we're going to sit down with TW staff, and we're together going to develop, the best customer outreach plan, for TWU in the city. Just one of the benefits that we provide. Now we'll move to some pretty important stuff. So during the audit, we did calculate what the cost impacts would be by implementing these new meters and the AMI. And the good news is, on the Texas side, we're projecting that your water and sewer revenues are going to increase almost $400,000 a year from this project. So that's obviously very beneficial for the city. The other good news is that also there's going to be some operating cost savings that's going to come out of everything in this project, totaling about $230,000 a year. So you got increased revenues and operating cost savings. So the overall financial is The total project cost is a little bit over 10.2 million. The annual benefits is over 600,000. That's when you add the increased revenues and the operating cost savings together with a simple payback of 16.5 years. So I promise I'm about done. This is the last slide. So this is a summary of the project benefits. I've covered most of these. You know, basically you're partnering with a very experienced Johnson Controls firm where we have designed and implemented over 130 of these AMI and water meter projects. And we also have to guarantee the performance and the savings of the project. So kind of some of the important benefits that come out of it. And with that, I've done a lot of talking. Really appreciate your time again. I'll open it up for questions.
Any questions by the council? Looks like to me this will be a very good investment in our city, and I know that I'm sure all of our council members from time to time have gotten calls from citizens about they feel like they've had excessive water usage. It seems like this equipment will kind of head that off at the beginning and alert the appropriate staff above that, and that problem can be taken care of quickly, rather than going on for quite some time before someone actually sees their bill or sees some kind of water seepage in their yard or in the street or something like that.
Yes, Mayor. Definitely.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the council? Okay. Gentlemen, we thank you for your time this evening.
Well, we sure appreciate the opportunity. I did want to point out that we've worked with a lot of utilities, and I'm being honest that TWU is one of the best that we've worked with. I mean, that's the only way this thing really works, is a true partnership. Everything we needed, they provided to us and worked with us to put together what we know is a great project. So thank you.
Well, we thank you for that compliment. We want to thank Mr. Eisenhower and Mr. Smith and the staff at TWU for the great work they do. So thank you all very much. Thank you for being here. At this time, move along to item number 4, ordinance number 2024-092, amending the budget estimate of the revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024, and adopting the budget and appropriating resources for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025. Just as a reminder, on this item, council will have a public hearing on August the 26th, and council vote on September the 9th. So on our next remaining items for our first briefings, Kristen is going to brief us on each one of these items. So Kristen, turn it over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I'm going to go through our presentation for the upcoming fiscal year 2025 proposed budget. And most of this presentation will cover the general fund, as it's the main operating fund for the city. But if you have any questions about any other funds, I'll be happy to answer those as well. I'll start off with sales tax revenue. This source of revenue accounts for 52% of our 101 general fund revenue budget. Fiscal year-to-date collections as of the month of July, which is for May sales, those are delayed by 2 months, totaled almost $14.2 million, which is a decrease of $192,000 or 1.34% compared to last year. This is due to some adjustments that were done in February from a local energy company. And if you exclude those adjustments, year-to-date collections would have been almost $14.6 million, which is an increase of $225,000 or 1.57% compared to last year. So we're estimating in this proposed budget to end fiscal year 2024 with collections of around $21.7 million in sales tax revenue. That's a decline of almost $200,000 or just under 1% compared to the prior fiscal year. And we're proposing to have fiscal year 2025 collections of $22.5 million. That's a 2% increase on the base collections, or $442,000, and also removal of those prior year adjustments, which were $417,000, for a total increase from FY24 revised of $860,000. We've talked about it a little bit tonight, but I just want to go over the no new revenue and voter approval tax rate calculation. Just as a reminder, the no new revenue calculation is basically calculating what tax rate would provide the same revenue as last year based on the current property values. And then the voter approval rate takes that same maintenance and operation rate from the no new revenue calculation and gives you a 3.5% increase along with the amount needed for debt service. So as I mentioned earlier, our plan is to maintain an overall tax rate of 65 cents. And with some additional revenue that tax rate will generate, staff is planning to issue a tax note for approximately $500,000 if the council approves that. So the current projection right now, based on some calculations that Hilltop Securities has been running for us, is that the tax note issuance would be about $530,000. We'll submit bids from local, regional, and national banks, and we would pay that back over 1.5 years, with the majority of it to be paid back in February of 2025 and just a small amount in the next year. And Jason Hughes with Hilltop Securities will be here on September 9th to present the result of all the bids, and the estimated interest rate for that tax note issuance would be about 4.5% is a good estimate. We are running all of our projections with a 5% conservative estimate, but we think it'll be closer to 4.5%. Property tax revenue accounts for 32% of the 101 general fund revenue budget. We received the certified property values on July 24th. And there was an increase in overall property valuation of $297 million. Most of that increase is in the Texarkana City jurisdiction at almost $205 million, and TERS 1 at $90 million. Gross revenue, based on the certified values, would be approximately $1.9 million, and after consideration for frozen taxes and delinquent collections would be about $1.66 million. The general fund would receive approximately $670,000 of that, interest and sinking $405,000, TERS number 1 $572,000, and TERS number 2 $17,000. This budget does include personnel budgeted at full employment. It is proposing non-civil service personnel to receive a 3% increase to base salary, with some additional compensation adjustments to bring employees that are not currently at the minimum of their grade to the minimum of the grade. This would cost approximately $385,000 for the city and $340,000 for TWU. This budget also includes a 5% increase to base salary along with step increases for fire department personnel, and that would cost approximately $300,000 annually. It also includes a 5% increase to base salary for police department personnel along with step increases, and some additional compensation adjustments for the lower half of the police officer grade, and that would be an estimated cost of approximately $475,000. This budget includes a 12.9% premium cost increase for employee health insurance. The city will contribute 95% of employee coverage and 65% of dependent coverage on the HSA plan. And this completes our 3-year plan to align dependent subsidy levels to 65% for all tiers. In the past, those were slightly different, and so we've worked over the last 3 years to get those all to 65%. And that would cost an approximate $560,000 in cost increase based on the 12.9% premium. We also are proposing a change in funding for health savings accounts. Currently, it is employee only $900, employee spouse $1,500, employee child $1,800, employee family $2,100. And so this budget includes a proposal of $1,000 for the employee-only tier and $1,500 for all other tiers. And this will generate approximate cost savings of $70,000. This budget also includes implementing a spousal surcharge of $50 a month for spouses that work full-time and have access to health insurance provided by their employer. Some other expenditures included in this budget is $925,000 for major street maintenance, fleet operations of $1.3 million, fleet capital replacement, which is all of our rolling stock and heavy equipment, $2.2 million, building maintenance is $250,000, public safety equipment, which is non-fleet expenditures. These are things like body cams, bulletproof vest, bunker gear, SCBA, is approximately $200,000. Technology purchases of $500,000. That's all computer hardware and software needs. This budget also includes creation of a community development fund with a transfer of $2 million from the general fund balance. And items such as demolition of substandard properties, neighborhood revitalization, and downtown enhancement would be included in this fund. Also included in this budget is a creation of an economic development corporation with a transfer of $6 million from the general fund balance. This was previously reserved in prior years, and so this budget actually moves that money over to the Economic Development Fund to establish a economic development corporation. Also, some of our partnership agreements included in this budget is operation of the Bi-State Building and Jail, $2.3 million. The Bi-State Building and Jail Roofing Project of just over $1 million. Contribution to the Public Library of $600,000. Contribution to the airport for operations of just under $700,000. Airport capital projects of $357,000. And an airport runway project of $1.8 million. Contribution to the Bowie County Health Department of $100,000 and the Bowie Central Appraisal District of $414,000. Some new items that we have included in this year's budget that we haven't had in the past, increase in annual funding of $35,000 to the Public Safety Equipment Fund, for a total allocation of $207,500 a year, split evenly between police and fire departments. The Flock camera license plate reader software, $28,000 a year. An increase in annual funding of $12,800 for striping streets for a total allocation of $25,000. And a one-time additional transfer to the Fleet Capital Replacement Fund of $1 million to sustain the fund through 2030. In our Fleet Capital Replacement Fund, we have budgeted doors at the downtown fire station, and that's approximately $40,480, a one-time expense. In the Hotel Occupancy Tax Fund, additional funding of $850,000 for a total sports promotion allocation of $1,050,000 for the Swanger Baseball Complex project in Spring Lake Park. In the Narcotics Seizure Fund, a cell phone data extraction software for the police department, $32,000 a year. In our TIFMAS Fund, which is where we retain the money from the fire deployments, we have a boat for water rescue, that's an $18,000 one-time expense. A UTV for rescue in small areas or rough terrain, $45,000 one-time expense. And doors at the Summerhill Road Fire Station, $32,000 one-time expense. This slide just gives a recap of general fund revenue versus expenditures. The budget is balanced in every year. You'll see that expenditures are over revenue, and that's just due to a one-time use of fund balance, but they're not reoccurring expenditures. And then the estimated general fund balance at the end of 2025 is 160 days of expenditures and unassigned fund balance. Just as a reminder, our policy is to maintain 60 days, or approximately, in this case, $7.2 million. Each year is about $120,000. Or each day, I'm sorry. Also I won't read through each one of these, but I wanted to provide you with the list of the one-time use of fund balance. This is projects that council has previously approved, and so I just wanted to kind of show you what those projects were. Just as a reminder, this is money that through the course of COVID funding that we obtained, and so these are be one-time expenditures. They won't be recurring, but that's a list of everything that's been approved to date. And then on this next slide is one-time use of fund balance that's proposed in FY 2025. As I mentioned earlier, the one-time transfer to the Economic Development Fund of $6 million, a one-time transfer to the Community Development Fund of $2 million, and a replacement plan for the storm sirens, $100,000. We met with our Budget Advisory Committee in 3 different meetings. One of those was held in a joint meeting with the council. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to go over their recommendations that were included throughout the budget process, and also take the opportunity to thank them for their time. It's been very, very beneficial to the process, and so I just wanted to thank them for their service to that, and also go through their recommendations. They recommended issuing an additional one-time transfer of $1 million to the Fleet Capital Replacement Fund, creating an Economic Development Corporation and funding it with a one-time transfer of $6 million from available fund balance, creating a Community Development Corporation and funding it with a one-time transfer of $2 million from available fund balance, continue with approved one-time use of fund balance projects, use additional property tax revenue to pay debt service, and prepare a bond package for FY 25 as needed. Allocate an additional one-time expenditure of $850,000 for total sports promotion allocation of $1,050,000. For TWU, they recommended increasing the water and sewer rates based on the adopted rate study effective October 1st, implementing wholesale water contract CPI increases effective January 1st, creating a dead-end looping policy for council approval, and continue with planning and implementation of the following projects: water service line inventory, Wagner Creek wastewater treatment plant upgrade, state line metering and corridor project, Texas Viaduct dead-end looping, automatic metering and energy audit, and graphic packaging long-term intake plan. They also recommended implementing the personnel increases that I mentioned earlier in the presentation, 3% for non-civil service with additional adjustments, 5% for civil service firefighters and police officers, and also additional compensation adjustments to the lower half of the police officer grade. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have or provide any additional information that you need.
Questions for Kristen relating to the budget?
Just appreciate all the time that y'all have spent on this, and our Budget Advisory Committee as well, the many hours that they've put in.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you, Kristen. Now move along to item number 5, ordinance number 2024-093, fixing the tax rate and levy in and for the city of Texarkana, Texas for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025 upon all taxable property in the city of Texarkana, Texas. Public hearing September 9th. Council vote September 9th as well. Kristen?
Yes, thank you again, Mayor and Council. I won't go over the rates again, just to say that this is the official tax rate ordinance. This is the one that, once approved, will set the tax rate. And again, the proposal is a 65-cent tax rate.
Okay. Any questions on that? Item 6 is ordinance number 2024-095, ratifying the recently adopted budget that contains a property tax rate that raises more total property taxes than the previous year. Note, as of the posting date of this agenda, the referenced property tax proposed for the fiscal year 24-25 budget is a tax rate of .6500 per $100 of assessed valuation, the same tax rate adopted for fiscal year 2023-2024. Kristen?
Yes, good evening again. Because the 65-cent tax rate will raise more property tax revenue than we had in the previous year, the local government code requires that the council ratify the adopted budget in a record vote, so that is what this agenda item does. And that's it on that. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Questions? All right, and item number 7 is resolution number 2024-096, approving the fiscal year 2025 master fee list. Kristen?
Good evening again. If approved, this agenda item will establish the master fee list for fiscal year 2025. The list proposes specific fees for services provided, and this list is reviewed annually, and adjustments are proposed to align user fees with the cost of providing the service. The proposed changes are outlined on the briefing sheet in your agenda packet. I won't go through each one by one, although if you have any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer those. Most of the changes are for the water department and correlate with the approved rate study. There are a few changes for the inspections department related to animal registration, impounding, quarantine, and adoption fees. This proposal also includes removal of the itinerant vendor fee, which was approved at a previous council meeting. And there's a new fee for fire inspections completed outside the city limits. That's included as well. And also there's an update to the notary fee for both City Hall and the library included in this list as well. But if there's any specific questions on those changes, I'll be happy to answer those.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Kristen. Appreciate all that information. At this time, we don't have any public hearings scheduled this evening on our agenda, and so at this time, we'll move along to the city manager's report. Dr. Orr?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a few updates to pass along to you tonight. First off, it was announced recently that we received the Government Finance Officers Association's GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the 9th consecutive year. And so this award represents a significant achievement by the city, and it reflects our commitment of the governing body and the staff for the highest principles of governmental budgeting. So I just wanted to say congratulations to Kristen and her team for this recognition, especially in light of the budget presentation tonight for FY25. So this was for our previous FY24 budget. Also just wanted to give you a quick update on the storm recovery efforts. So FEMA assistance was approved August 3rd, so last week, for residents primarily in the Beverly neighborhood. And so FEMA staff are canvassing the neighborhood this week, and they'll be going door to door 9 to 5 and have photo identification on them. And so it's anticipated they'll be in town for the next 2 weeks and possibly longer, helping our residents sign up for FEMA assistance through the process. And also, the Beverly Community Center has been a designated area as well to help residents sign up. And then finally, the Texarkana Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO, is working on their 2050 MTP plan. And so this is the plan that lays out future transportation needs. And so there's a public comment period that began August 1st. It'll continue until 5 p.m. on August 31st. I've got the link there. You can also go to texarkanampo.org and provide your comments, and I believe they'll have some other public hearings and meetings and things over the next month regarding this plan. So, okay. That's all I have.
Okay, all right. Thank you, David. We also have our fire chief, Chris Black, with us. Chris, would you like to give us an update on the new piece of equipment we have in service? Sure. Nothing like putting you on the spot, isn't it?
always glad to talk about new equipment that y'all provide for us to do our job. So it's a great truck. It functions as well as it looks. I don't know if y'all have had a chance to see it, but beautiful paint scheme. We're real proud of it. This is the third one we've put in service with this new paint scheme. So they all look like they're from the same city now instead of different places. So we like that. The new truck has, like everything else you buy new, has all the latest technology, all the electronic stuff. One of the biggest things that's new on this equipment that we have is a rope rescue attachment. We've had flooding here, or people run off in banks and stuff. We have attachments that we can put on our truck now with the rollers, and the attachment goes out the front of the ladder, and we can actually perform rope rescue a lot better, more efficiently, and a lot safer for us and the people that we may be rescuing. But again, we're so thankful to the council, mayor, city manager, all the staff that provide us with this equipment to do our job. We're great at what we do, but the better equipment you have, the better we can perform.
Right. You want to tell us also a little bit about the fire station renovations that are underway?
Yes, they're actually just about complete. We've got a little punch list of little things, but all 5 stations have been gone through. A lot of new additions and upgrades to our stations. Some of our stations, downtown stations, 1951 model, so it was due for a little facelift and some extra work. The guys are super proud of everything that's going in there because we live in these stations every day of the year. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They never get a break from us. So getting a little refreshing and some updating has been really great. Guys are really enjoying it.
Well, we certainly appreciate the great work that you all do in our fire department, protecting lives and also protecting property 24/7. And this new Quint truck that we have in service will be housed at the Kenwood Station, which is located on South Kenwood between New Boston Road and West Lawn Drive, kind of more in a residential type setting, but also a good centralized location to respond to calls. So our fire department has some very good-looking equipment out there. They really do as far as serving. And so image is something that's very important with me, always promoting a positive image throughout the community with our equipment and our uniforms and things like that. And so our fire department certainly does its part in achieving that goal.
Yes, our firefighters have a great sense of pride in having all the stuff that's supplied to us and having great-looking equipment and a great place to live while they're working.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that report.
Sure.
All right. We appreciate it very much. Okay. At this time, move along to administrative comments. Any comments from the council this evening that you'd like to direct to the staff? Okay. Any final comments from the staff to the council this evening?
No further comments from staff, Mayor.
Okay, very good. I just want to recognize a couple more in our audience this evening. We have former council member and former mayor, Stephen Mayo, with us. Mayor Mayo, we're glad to have you with us. You're welcome anytime to join us. And we also have Robin Bass, who represents U.S. Congressman Moran's office here. Robin, thank you for being here. And I just want to state that our U.S. Congressman, Congressman Moran, is doing an incredible job of representing Texarkana and our interest throughout the community and throughout the state. And so we want to certainly pass along our sincere thank you for the great job that he's doing, and also you as a support person for his role. You're always very accessible, and especially on short notice to pass along. So Robin, thanks for being here this evening as well. Okay. We're about to go into closed session, but just a comment to the council, before we go into closed session in the conference room, we're going to pause here in the front for a photo with our newest council member, Steve Thompson. So we'll be doing that. And so the council will convene in a closed session, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, and Section 551.072, deliberations regarding real property. There's no further action to be taken during the closed session other than to reconvene into open session and then adjourn the council meetings. So we want to thank you all for being with us this evening and certainly hope that you have a great evening. Thank you very much.